You can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club. I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow, than a sleepy and permanent planet. I'd rather sing one wild song and burst my heart with it, than live 1,000 years watching my digestion and being afraid of the wet. The wild still lingered in him and the wolf in him merely slept. Limited minds can recognize limitations only in others. A bone to the dog is not charity. Charity is the bone shared with the dog, when you are just as hungry as the dog. Don't loaf and invite inspiration, light out after it with a club. Life is not always a matter of holding good cards, but sometimes, playing a poor hand well. The proper function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. Show me a man with a tattoo and I'll show you a man with an interesting past. To be able to forget means sanity. Intelligent men are cruel. Stupid men are monstrously cruel. And how have I lived? Frankly and openly, though crudely. I have not been afraid of life. I have not shrunk from it. I have taken it for what it was at its own valuation. And I have not been ashamed of it. Just as it was mine. But I am I and I won't subordinate my taste to the unanimous judgment of mankind. He was a silent fury who no torment could tame. As one grows weaker, one is less susceptible to suffering. There is less hurt because there is less to hurt. There is an ecstasy that marks the summit of life, and beyond which life cannot rise. And such is the paradox of living. This ecstasy comes when one is most alive, and it comes as a complete forgetfulness that one is alive. It's better to stand by someone's side than by yourself. Fear urged him to go back, but growth drove him on. Love, genuine passionate love, was his for the first time. White Fang knew the law well, to oppress the weak and obey the strong. He was a killer, a thing that preyed, living on the things that lived, unaided, alone, by virtue of his own strength and prowess, surviving triumphantly in a hostile environment where only the strong survive. He was a man without a past, whose future was the imminent grave and whose present was a bitter fever of living. No, sir. Go to hell, sir. It's the best I can do for you, sir. He was sounding the deeps of his nature, and of the parts of his nature that were deeper than he, going back into the womb of time. The ghostly winter silence had given way to the great spring murmur of awakening life. A man with a club, bat, is a lawmaker, a man to be obeyed, but not necessarily conciliated. And at the instant he knew, he ceased to know. Life is not a matter of holding good cards, but sometimes playing a poor hand well. This expression of abandon and surrender, of absolute trust, he reserved for the master alone. Man rarely places a proper valuation upon his womankind, at least not until deprived of them. My mistake was in ever opening the books. So that was the way. No fair play. Once down, that was the end of you. They were not half living, or quarter living. They were simply so many bags of bones in which sparks of life fluttered faintly. There is a patience of the wild-dogged, tireless, persistent as life itself that holds motionless for endless hours the spider in its web, the snake in its coils, the panther in its ambuscade. This patience belongs peculiarly to life when it hunts its living food. I do not live for what the world thinks of me, but for what I think of myself. Every book was a peephole into the realm of knowledge. His hunger fed upon what he read, and increased. The function of man is to live, not to exist. But, and there it is, we want to live and move, though we have no reason to, because it happens that it is the nature of life to live and move, to want to live and move. If it were not for this, life would be dead. It is because of this life that is in you that you dream of your immortality. The aim of life was meat. Life itself was meat. Life lived on life. There were the eaters and the eaten. The law was, eat or be eaten. He did not formulate the law in clear, set terms and moralize about it. He did not even think the law. He merely lived the law without thinking about it at all.